We have a big 12-game slate to talk about here, and we got Oklahoma City on it again. Yay! Welcome, guys. My name is DK, and we'll be talking about the NBA DFS slate here on Wednesday. If you guys are new, I do cover content for Draftkings and Prize Picks. Prize Picks, they are the sponsor. You can use the code DKDFS for 100% match up to $100. It is a player prop site. They offer a ton of different sports, so give it a try. Take advantage of that free money. And if you guys are looking for premium content, you can check out my Patreon. That is linked down below. But yeah, let's recap the night tonight. So Mark Dagnall, man, this guy, I'm telling you, I was so incredibly mad seeing that fourth quarter rotation by the Thunder. Let me just say this, all right? It is a 63-point game in the fourth quarter. The Thunder are up by 63. I'm thinking, all right, finally, we're going to get Darius Bazley in the game, right? Finally, he's going to get some real minutes. No way. Giga Chalk, guard Jalen Williams, plays almost the entire fourth quarter. 23 steals in the fourth. But the Darius Bazley Sharks punished 30 seconds in the fourth quarter. That's all he gets. If I play a player and it's like a 15-point game midway through the fourth, you better believe the coach is waving the white flag. But when I have a bench player and it's literally a 60-point game, no way. He's not getting minutes. No chance. Mark Dagnall, this guy. I'm really, really surprised he still has a job at this point. Guy is something else, man. Guy is something else. But yeah, basically my breakdown was, I liked a lot of those low-owned, Thunder guys. Isaiah Joe, the other Jalen Williams. There's a lot of guys that were like, okay, if the game blows out, they're going to play more. It was actually the opposite. Thunder blew out the Celtics instead of the Celtics blowing out the Thunder. But my lineup, I played 3 or 4 Thunder. Trey Mann, Giddey, Kenrich Williams, and Darius Bazley. And Bazley played 30 seconds in the game. I ate Chalk Giannis Antetokounmpo. He broke the slate. And then rounded it out with 3 guys in that late game with Conley, Malik Beasley, and Domantas Sabonis. So that's the recap. Going to be another good night. Hoping to keep it going here for this 12-game slate. Would have been a much bigger night if, Darius Bazley just played normal second-half minutes with a massive blowout. Telling you, man. NBA DFS makes you crazy. It makes you a little crazy. All right, Memphis and Charlotte. That's the first game here. Let's start off with the Memphis side. So everyone back besides Brandon Clark is still out. John Morant, 10-1 with Desmond Bane back. Still in play. Still should play about 35 minutes. Great matchup, but not a priority. Bane, Triple J, Brooks, all more just tournament plays. I do have some interest in Steven Adams. Played 34 minutes last game without Brandon Clark. I think he's probably going to play around 30 minutes, assuming he can stay out of foul trouble. Backup, I think they're going to go Tillman. I guess they could go Triple J as the backup 5 in this game. But last game, they did go to Tillman as the backup, so I think Steven Adams, probably my favorite play here on Memphis. Moving on to Charlotte. So Charlotte, we got no Oubre, no Gordon Hayward. I expect McDaniels to move in the starting lineup and then to start LaMelo, Rozier, McDaniels, Plumlee, and Washington. So LaMelo Ball at 10-2. Also like his ceiling in tournaments. He's a little bit up and down, but he's gone for 50-plus now in 4 of the last 5 games. So like his upside. Rozier's kind of been quiet of late, but I like that he has shooting guard, small forward eligibility. So he's a fine contrarian play at that price point. I mentioned I like Plumlee as a contrarian center last slate. He absolutely broke the slate, went for 47 fantasy points. Kind of an outlier, but still should play around 30 minutes. Still fine tournament play, as is PJ Washington. Both front court guys should play over 30 minutes as long as there's no foul trouble. And then I think McDaniels is a solid value. I don't know if you guys remember. This was a while ago, but he moved in the starting lineup. He was like so chalky. I think he was like 60%, and he went for like 5 fantasy points. I luckily avoided him that night, but he should start. He should play over 30 minutes as long as there's no blowout. He stands out as a pretty good value. And then other guys off the bench. Mark Williams has been getting the backup 5 run. He's $4,000. Probably plays around 15 minutes. If the game blows out, could play a little bit more. So a little bit of interest in him. I don't know if I can go to anyone else. Maybe Malon gets a minutes bump, but mainly the starters that I've been interested in for Charlotte. Phoenix and Cleveland, I have no idea what to make of this team. I really just have no idea right now what to even say. They're just so up and down. They just got blown out by like 40 by the Knicks. It's a tough spot here against Cleveland. If you want to target a Paul or Ayton or Bridges in tournaments, that's fine. Payne didn't play much in his first game back. Shamet was awful. Torrey Craig's still getting minutes, but not doing much. There's just not much here. There really isn't. Again, I really just don't know what to do with this team either. If you want to take some shots at some of the Suns of low ownership, you can. Be my guest. Not going to be the direction that I go in this 12-game slate. Moving on to Cleveland. So Darius Garland is still doubtful. Evan Mobley is questionable. Mitchell's a 9.6K. He went for 102 fantasy points last game, shooting 22 of 34 in 50 minutes. With no Garland, his upside does go up, but we saw the same situation 2 games ago in a great matchup against Chicago. Literally the same matchup. He went for 32 fantasy points. The next game, 102. So that's a little bit different. But yeah, the ceiling's there. I think he will be a little bit over-owned. I'll probably look to other spend-ups. Now, the front court, if Mobley's out, I think Jarrett Allen looks like a pretty safe play, but he wouldn't be a priority. The 2 guys I'd look to first would probably be Love and LeVert. Both played over 30 minutes in regulation. Love, good point per minute guy. LeVert was pretty quiet, shot 2 of 13, but both those guys would look better. And then Chetty Osman will make for a pretty good contrarian value as well, played 36 minutes last game. So those would be the main guys I'd have interest in if both Garland and Mobley are out. Oklahoma City and Orlando, it's a back-to-back. We'll see about SGA. It's put up 150 points without SGA. Absolutely wild. If Shea is still out, then I do like the ceiling on Josh Giddey. He's probably the safest option. He had a phenomenal third quarter there. Didn't play in the fourth quarter. Dort, Jalen Williams, who played like 47 minutes tonight, is going to look good. So I like Dort. I like Jalen Williams. There's no SGA. And they started Kenrich Williams at the 5. I think he'd be a pretty good value. Basically, like all these main guys. Trey Mann off the bench had a good game. Aaron Wiggins started. I thought he was a bit over-owned. But I think the main guys, if everyone's out that missed last game, would be Giddey, Dort, Jalen Williams. And then a bit of interest in a guy like Kenrich Williams, Trey Mann, and Aaron Wiggins. On the Orlando side, so don't think we're going to have Suggs or Bull in this game. So I believe they're going to have 9 active players. Paolo Banchero's been really playing bad of late, but he's fine in tournaments, still getting a lot of shots up. Markelle Fultz only played 26 minutes last game. That was super frustrating. I think he's a fine tournament play too. Carter Jr. 6'4", missed last game due to the suspension. They kind of were taking it easy on his minutes on the first 3 games back. If he's no longer on a limit, then I do like him quite a bit. So kind of keep an eye on news there. Cole Anthony does have a ceiling. He's 5.3K. He's up and down, a good GPP play. Mo Bamba at 4.3. That's relatively cheap. Don't mind his upside in tournaments. A lot of tournament plays for me for Orlando. Mainly the top end guys. Terrence Ross at 0 of 30 to start the game. Gary Harris is back. So I think guys like Ross and Harris are playable values. I want to see what they do with the starting lineup. I would assume Banchero, Fultz, and Carter Jr. in the starting lineup, but not sure who else would start. Indiana and Philly. Halliburton 9-1. Like his ceiling in GPPs, but in this Philadelphia matchup, probably can't go to him in a cash game. Miles Turner, also a little bit worried about potential foul trouble, but he's been playing better of late. Everyone else are kind of just tournament dart throws with Hield, Mathurin, and Naismith, Nembhard, Jalen Smith. Hard to really trust anyone else. On the Philadelphia side, so do like the upside in Embiid, do like the upside in Harden. Pretty good matchup here for both. So like the 2 main guys, but that's really about it. Tyrese Maxey 7-3. They said he's going to continue to come off the bench, so can't play him yet. Harris and Melton both feel priced about right. So yeah, there's really nothing here for Philly. Moving on to San Antonio and New York. So Devin Vassell, once again, questionable. If Vassell's out, you would probably get Langford in the starting lineup, but he's a low usage guy. And yeah, if Vassell's out, Keldon, Pirtle, Trey Jones, all going to look a little bit better. Maybe a little bit interested in Sohan. If Vassell's in, it's kind of just the main guys that are playable, and that's about it, meaning the starters. Collins is playing the backup 5. He's good point per minute, but minutes probably going to be high teens. I don't know. This team, I don't like talking about this team. Again, Langford would probably start if Vassell's out. Josh Richardson's 3-6. He's been seeing around 20 minutes. I think he's playable. It's a pretty boring team to talk about. Moving on to the Knicks. So no RJ Barrett. They're running a really condensed rotation. Still have interest in Randall at 10-5 just because he's playing 40 minutes a game and doing everything right now for the team. I also like Jalen Brunson, who played 39 minutes in his first game back. So Brunson and Randall both look good. I think Quickly's playable. He's not going to be as high of a usage player playing alongside both Brunson and Randall, but still played 36 minutes, still viable. Quentin Grimes at 5'8", should play mid-30s minutes. I think he's a fair play in the mid-range. Mitchell Robinson, as I always say, if you consistently roster this guy, you will lose years off your life because he's always in foul trouble and he's up and down. But the ceiling's there for him, like his upside. That's probably it, though. I don't think I can get to anyone else on this team. If you think Robinson gets in foul trouble, sure, you can take a dart throw on Isaiah Hartenstein. Milwaukee and Toronto. So obviously you guys saw what Giannis Antetokounmpo did tonight. I think he's still a pretty good play at the top. He's been playing very, very well of late. No Middleton. Drew Holiday came off the bench and they limited his minutes. If they do that again, it's going to make Giannis look a little bit better. Portis and Brook Lopez both had good games playing alongside Giannis. I would say kind of an outlier games from both of them. So they're both more secondary plays. Value, maybe like a little bit of interest in Grayson Allen for tournaments, but it's mainly Giannis and that's about it. On the Toronto side, I don't know if there's anything that stands out. I think Siakam's in play for GPPs. You know, he's been kind of up and down. We've seen the big games from him, but we've also seen the floor games. Of course, Scotty Barnes goes for 8 assists with Van Fleet back. But when I take his over assist at 4 and it get bumps to 4.5 for prize picks with Van Fleet out, he only goes for 3 assists. It's like you just can't make it up. Scotty Barnes is such a frustrating player. It's like whoever's in, whoever's out just doesn't matter. He just randomly does good in like random games. Like you can never know. Like he literally had the team to himself early in the year and was just continuously busting. But with everyone back, he goes for 48 fancy points. It's just like, okay, all right, man, cool. I will say Gary Trent Jr., my arch nemesis, has been playing very well. I played 40 minutes last game, even with Van Fleet back. The downside is he's scoring dependent, and he's been shooting very well. But we know he has a floor if he's not knocking down a shot, so we'll see how the ownership comes in on him. No real interest in the bench guys, though, for Toronto. Brooklyn and Chicago. So Royce O'Neal's probable. He should be back in the starting lineup. I think he's a pretty solid value play. Should play over 30 minutes. Relatively safe play there. Like the ceiling on both KD and Kyrie. Both guys are playing a ton of minutes in competitive games. I think I would give the edge to Kyrie over KD for the discount at 8.8 as opposed to 10K. Also have interest in the front court. Right now, the minutes are a little bit more secure in Claxton. In competitive games, he's been seeing low 30s minutes. For Ben Simmons, minutes have kind of fluctuated at times. Only played 19 minutes here, no foul trouble. Obviously, this game was a blowout. Only 25 minutes here, though. So, like, his minutes have fluctuated. I do like the ceiling on Ben Simmons. If you told me he played 35 minutes tomorrow, he would definitely be in my lineup. I just don't know how many minutes he's going to play. DJ Warren in tournaments, his minutes have been kind of in that mid-20s minute range. I think he's viable. Seth Curry should move back to the bench, but he did play well in the starting lineup, so maybe he does still see decent minutes off the bench. On the Chicago side, basically always the same breakdown for me. Like the main 3 guys in tournaments, but don't really know if I can prioritize any of these guys with DeRozan, Vooch, and LaVine. If I had to pick one, probably would be LaVine since he has shooting guard, small forward eligibility, but all 3 certainly in play. Patrick Williams at 4-2 is kind of just there. Io started last game over Caruso, played over 30 minutes. If he continues to start, I think Io is a decent value play. And then that's kind of it for Chicago. They're always a pretty easy team to talk about when they're fully healthy. On the Houston side, like both guards in tournaments, KPJ and Jalen Green, I will mention the minutes on KPJ have been very high of late. 39, 35, 34, 35, 42 minutes in that last game. So if he's going to continue to play, high 30s to even low 40s minutes, that is a bit intriguing. Jalen Green, we know he's going to get a lot of shots up. Just comes down to whether or not he can make those shots. Sengun, minutes fluctuate. He's in foul trouble a lot, but is a good point per minute guy. We've seen a couple big games from him. Always someone that intrigues me for tournaments. Jabari Smith at 4.8K, that does feel a little bit too cheap. I expect in a competitive game, probably around 30 minutes from him. So I think he's a fair value play. Eric Gordon's always playable for salary relief. Like he's going to see around 30 minutes, does have small forward eligibility. That's really it, though. I don't think I can get to Martin or Eason or the backup centers. So let's move on to the Pelicans. Pelicans, no Zion, no Ingram, no Larry Nance. They're relatively shorthanded in a good matchup. Definitely one of the better teams to target on the slate. I think CJ McCollum stands out as one of the best plays in both formats on this slate. Really do like him. A little bit annoying he only has point guard eligibility, but yeah, McCollum looks great. Jonas Valanciunas, like his ceiling a lot. Minutes wise, we probably see close to 30 minutes. So do like JV a good amount. I think the wings look pretty good. I would guess they start CJ, Murphy, Marshall, Herb Jones, and JV. They could, I guess, start Alvarado over Najee Marshall. We will see. But Trey Murphy of the wings, he's probably the wing that I like the best because when he's knocking down his shots, I think he has the highest ceiling of that Murphy, Najee Marshall, Herb Jones group. But Najee Marshall, if he starts, I think it's a pretty safe play. A guy that can stuff a stat sheet. Herb Jones, good defender, probably plays over 30 minutes. So the wings all look like decent plays. And I think the upside is the highest, though, on Murphy. Alvarado at 4K, if he comes out the bench, is definitely viable. If he starts, though, then I really like him. So we'll see what they do with the starting lineup. Hernan Gomez has been getting the backup 5 run. He's a good point per minute guy. If something happens to JV or he gets in foul trouble, I think Hernan Gomez is a decent value. And then Jackson Hayes has been in the rotation over Dyson Daniels, kind of playing at the 4 like he did last year. So both these, cheap bigs in Hernan Gomez and Hayes are also in play, in my opinion. Portland and Minnesota. So Nurkic, he left the game early due to the illness, but I guess he's probable. Unless we get clarity that he's full go, no limitations, I can't get to him. If we do get that confirmation, then I like his upside in GPPs. Dame, good tournament play. Should play a lot in a competitive game, probably, 38 to 40 minutes. The other starters are viable too with Grant, Simons, and Hart. This is a good matchup. This is an appealing game. Two teams that play fast. So, and Portland, and both teams are running pretty tight rotations too. So good game to stack, in my opinion. If you think Nurkic is limited again, you can consider a guy like Drew Eubanks at 4.1K. We also saw Gary Payton return, played 13 minutes. If he's available and his minutes restriction goes up a bit, he could be someone that is playable. So keep an eye on that one. And then on the Minnesota side, no Cat still, Naz Reid questionable. I like the upside in Anthony Edwards in tournaments. Like I said, this is an appealing game. He's been playing a ton of minutes, probably going to play close to 40 minutes. I think D'Angelo Russell, also a pretty good tournament play. These guys have been consistently playing 35 to 40 minutes. So like Ant, like Russell, I'm about done with this guy, man. I've been saying it for years how overrated he is, but this is probably the game he finally breaks out, but I'm about done with him. The wings and Slow-Mo and McDaniels are going to look a little bit better if Naz Reid is out. I think just more solidified minutes for them. Noel got a price bump, and Odilo back, more just a tournament play. He'll probably go back to that, high teens, low 20s minute range. Detroit Golden State, another team. This Detroit team really pisses me off. They really, really piss me off. Rotations, random guys getting benched. I'm just tired of it. I bet they ran like a tight rotation for like 2 games where they gave like Hayes and Ivy and Duran a ton of run. Now they're back to the BS again, where it's just like, who knows who's going to play what? They're going to have the hot hand. I'm just really tired of this team. So, going to make it quick and easy for you guys. I like the upside of Bogdanovich. I like the upside in Hayes. I like the upside in Ivy. If they all play 30-plus minutes, they can definitely get there. I have no idea if they're going to play those minutes. Jalen Duran, with Bagley out, probably sees close to 30 minutes if he can stay out of foul trouble, but no guarantee in that. Alec Burks has played extremely well off the bench. I think he's fine in GPPs, but the minutes have still not been amazing on him. Stewart and Bay, the minutes are up and down. Diallo probably would be in the rotation. Corey Joseph would probably be in the rotation. You might even see a little bit of Kevin Knox. Like I said, just a really frustrating team. But there are guys who can play in tournaments, right? I think my favorite options would be the 2 guards plus Bojan. On the Golden State side, so they're still thin. Basically the same guys are still out as last game. So they should run a relatively tight rotation. I like both guards in Poole and Klay Thompson. Both had a good game in double overtime. So like the ceiling on both of them. Draymond Green, pretty safe play. In a competitive game, you should see mid-30s minutes. He played 35 minutes in regulation last game. Kevon Looney got a price bump, but I still think he's a fair value play. Last game, obviously a bit of an outlier. DiVincenzo was a little bit quiet. He was the one starter that didn't do a ton, but that should keep his ownership relatively low. And then off the bench, Anthony Lamb did see a decent amount of run. I think we probably get about 25 minutes from him. It's nice he has small forward, power forward eligibility. Ty Jerome was quiet in his minutes, played 22 minutes, only went for 9 fantasy points. But previous to that, he had been playing pretty well. So he's kind of intriguing for tournaments. If the game blows out too, which is definitely possible, Jerome would be on the court in the blowout. But I think that's it. Moses Moody really didn't see a ton of run, only 12 minutes. You saw a few minutes for Patrick Baldwin Jr., but not enough for me to consider him. Let's finish up here with Miami and the Lakers. 2 games left. Miami, pretty boring team to talk about. I like the matchup, but basically everyone healthy. So Jimmy, Hero, Bam, all playable in tournaments, but there's no standouts here. I guess Lowry at 6'2" is fine in the mid-range. We probably see, around 30 minutes from him. Gabe Vincent's 3'5". It's playable value. It's just there's not much that stands out. Oladipo, 4'7", I guess is a little bit interesting. His minutes have ticked up. 35 and 30 minutes over the last couple games. I would say he's probably my favorite play on this team. If you told me he plays 30 minutes again, I would say there's a pretty good chance he has a good game at 4'7" with point guard, shooting guard eligibility. On the Lakers side, so LeBron is questionable. I expect him to play, though. Westbrook probable. Lonnie Walker questionable. Assuming LeBron plays, I think LeBron himself is a decent tournament play. Had a massive game last game, but this is a bit of a tougher spot. Westbrook at 7-6. His minutes are just not really consistent. He's probably going to play 25 to 30 minutes, so don't feel great about that. Thomas Bryant going up against Bam Adebayo is like, just a GBP contrarian play. Now, if Lonnie Walker's out, then maybe we can consider guys like Schroeder and Reeves and Patrick Beverley. Reeves, I liked last slate, but he'd only played 22 minutes. He smashed in that time, but a little bit concerning that he did only play 22 minutes with Lonnie Walker and Westbrook out. Finally, Atlanta-Sacramento, another, in my opinion, very appealing game. Two teams that play fast, two teams that play very little defense. So both guards I like in tournaments, and Trae Young, DeJounte Murray. Neither priorities, though, and I do like the front court quite a bit. If these guys can stay out of foul trouble, I like the ceiling a lot on Collins. I like the ceiling a lot on Okongwu. The issue is these guys are always in foul trouble. So, like both bigs here with Collins and Okongwu. That's about it, though. I don't really think I can get to Bogdanovich or DeAndre Hunter. DeAndre Hunter also got banged up at the end of the game, so I don't even know if he'll be available. If he's out, maybe AJ Griffin becomes a potential value there at 3.9. But I would say the guards plus the two bigs are the main interest for me. And finally, Sacramento. I mean, my boy Sabonis, he's just really, really consistent. Going to give you a double-double, probably around 50 fantasy points with upside for more. Great matchup. I think he's a good play. De'Aaron Fox, I'd say more of a tournament play. His floor is a bit lower when playing alongside Sabonis. I do prefer Sabonis to Fox. The wings, I think, are all decent options with Herter, Barnes, Keegan Murray. I think the ceiling's the highest on Herter, but all three of those guys should play decent minutes. Monk's always someone that is viable in tournaments. Minutes and production can be a bit up and down, but he's a guy that can go for 30, 40 fantasy points any single night. So that's going to wrap it up for the Kings, and that's going to do it for the video as well. So if you guys have been enjoying the DFS content, just make sure to like, subscribe, hit the notification bell. Also, really appreciate all the new subscribers. Good luck on this slate, guys, and I'll see you in the next one.